It's time for the Georgia State Sports Update. And the Georgia State Sports Update coming to you from the Georgia State Sports Arena. We're joined by head coach Ron Hunter. And Coach, welcome. A great win on Saturday, 69-61 over Arkansas State. Much needed win here. We're down the stretch now with just four regular season games to go.
Well, we needed that win for our mental capability. I mean, we had been in so many close games, and we just hadn't been able to finish. And again, we had turned the ball over, not make free throws. So we just needed that type of game and that win just to mentally just kind of relax a little bit and kind of get back to winning basketball.
Of course, weren't sure what to expect from Arkansas State because they had a bad loss down in Statesboro to Georgia Southern, gave up 90 points, 90-something to, I think, 54 the final score. So you never know how a team is going to bounce back from that kind of a game, and they're in the same boat as we are. Everybody's kind of making that push at the end to make sure we head to New Orleans for the Sun Belt Tournament.
Well, the key to their team is the Thomas kid, and he didn't play in the Georgia Southern, and he didn't start against us, but saw when he came in the game, he really runs that team, really one of the better point guards in our conference, and he makes a big difference. And I thought Arkansas State played with a lot of energy. I think they were embarrassed about how they played the other night with giving up all those threes and to Georgia Southern, and wanted to come in and try to get a split because they're trying to get in the tournament also. So again, for us, it was a really good win because we played a team that had beaten us before, but really wanted to win this game.
You and I talked on the radio in your pregame show about you gave Austin Donaldson his first start of the season and moved Isaiah Williams. Isaiah ends up coming off the bench, but playing a little bit more at the two-guard spot. It seemed to work very well as Isaiah ends up scoring 17 points, pulling down 4 rebounds.
Yeah, it's the second game we kind of got him off the ball, and we, even against Little Rock, we got him off the ball and had Kevin Ware play the point, which is still not his natural position. But putting Austin in that position, a lot of guys were able to relax, and again, I don't think it was by accident that we had as most field goals we've had all year, because again, I thought to also play the point really helped us in that regards.
Well, Jeremy Hollowell, too, he bounces back 18.7 rebounds in 38 minutes. We've talked, if this team's going to be successful, Jeremy Hollowell's got to be able to score points.
Yeah, I tell you, in the last few games, he's really been on a roll. 3 of the last 4 games, I think he's at 18 or more points. And again, starting to feel comfortable. He had that slump that we really struggled in, but he's starting to relax a little bit. I think the game is slowing down for him a little bit, and he's getting rebounds and he's doing some other things outside of just scoring the basketball.
It's kind of funny you say that, the game's slowing down a little bit, because going back to the 22 points apiece he had at South Alabama and then at Troy late here in the season, it is. You look at a guy who transfers in, sits out. It takes a little while, and I say a little while. We're again late in the season to where the game's beginning to slow down for him a little bit.
And it's funny. Look at both of our transfers right now. They're starting to kind of pick it up toward the end. And again, watch them next year. I think they'll have unbelievable years. It's just very difficult for those transfers that first year. That's why you want to make sure you have where they don't have to be the guy coming in that first year. They can just kind of come in and just slowly kind of get themselves back into basketball shape, and really not from a physical point, but more of a mental point in regards to guys sitting out.
Well, again, we're talking to Coach Hunter here. We're at the Georgia State Sports Arena. Panthers a win over Arkansas State. Not quite a tale of two halves. Shoot almost 36% in the first half. I don't know what you said at halftime in the locker room, but they came out and shot almost 55% in the second half. Really picked it up in the second half after trailing at halftime by 3.
Well, one of the things that we did is that we took Kevin Ware and we brought him off the bench. We thought lately he's really been pressing, and we just wanted him to slow down, talking about having the game slow down a little bit. And I thought second half, bringing him off the bench and then just letting him slow down. I think he had 11 points off the bench in the second half. That really kind of slowed him down a little bit. And now all of a sudden we had scoring not only from Kevin, but Jeremy, and then also Isaiah. Really the first time those 3 have really got going in a game together, and I thought that helped us more than anything.
Well, we'll talk in a little bit about the final 3 games of the regular season after getting back from Statesboro, though it's Appalachian State here, the final regular season home game senior day, and then on to Louisiana for the final 2.
Yeah, every game for us is we're really in tournament play.
Yeah.
We've got a few games left, and we've been in it with last year. The last couple of years it was to keep that number 1 seed. Now we want to get the highest seed we possibly can get, and you want to be playing well going into the conference tournament. So really right now, and not only just for us, but for a lot of teams, not only in the Sun Belt, when you get to the middle toward the end of February, everybody right now is in conference play, in tournament play or tournament mentality.
All right, we'll talk to Coach Hunter a little bit more in our next segment about the stretch run, and I mean the real stretch run, final 3 games in the regular season before hopefully heading to New Orleans for the Sun Belt Conference Tournament. If you've been to the Georgia State Sports Arena, you know that a big part of the atmosphere, aside from the players and aside from watching Coach Hunter on the sideline, is the Georgia State basketball pep band. Our Kelly Mann had a chance to jump into the middle of the fray and talk to some of those members of the pep band at a recent basketball game.
What's your favorite part about the band on game day?
Just all of us together. It's like a big family. We're a Panther family inside the Panther family.
My favorite part about game day is when the game is really close and everyone's super intensely watching the game, and then they just let us play whatever we want. And also my favorite tradition about the Georgia State Band is at the end of every game we do Georgia on My Mind, which is a really emotional part for us because it means a lot to us. So that tradition, playing Georgia on My Mind, it's just great.
Being able to feel like you're a part of the absolute you're there on the lows and you're there for all the absolutely amazing highs. So I mean, we got to travel to the NCAA tournament last year to see the famous RJ shot. We were courtside for that. So it's really cool to see a part of Georgia State athletics history right up close and be a part of that.
So tell me, how do you feel about the pep band? What does it mean to have them here at the game?
They keep it lit. They keep us going, dancing. The music they play is on point. I love it.
The pep band keeps us very alive. It's very energetic in the gym.
Oh, the band's great. They've got a great positive energy that they bring to the game. It makes you want to get up and cheer and support the team.
The band just provides that extra oomph of energy. The music that they bring, being able to hype the crowd up with their music. They're also a part of the chanting section, so they have their own chants and cheers, and they're able to really get the crowd incorporated outside of the energy that they already have for the game.
I like the good songs that they play.
I like having the pep band because they're really funny and they just keep everything upbeat, and we can dance along, and it's just really nice to have.
Well, the band here at Georgia State, they always get the crowd involved, so I really love how they try to get us to participate here, and it just makes a good show, adds to it.
The band is awesome. They play great music, makes you want to dance. I'm a dancing jig, so I pretty much dance to anything, but I think it's a good part to the basketball game. It gets people on their feet and excited and in a real cheering mode.
Oh, the band, it gets us pumped up. All the music they playing, definitely love it. A lot of energy, great instruments, great music, great players. It's good.
We turn to the band they definitely turn us up, to say the least.
The band's really done a really good job. They play really good music, and they do a good job of getting us hyped.
Well, the band is always a traditional thing, and so just keeping with tradition, that's nice. And just hearing their versions of the music, that's interesting too. So I like that.
I think they're really good. You can tell they have really good school spirit, and they're really loud, and they're really energetic, and you can tell they love what they do, and they love the sport.
Tell me about the energy that the band brings on game day.
Oh, it's awesome. I mean, the band, they come and bring 110% every day. We're here doing cheers, making sure the students are into it. And, when we're packed out on men's games and, the band is starting cheers, it's there's nothing like it. It's awesome.
Intensity all the time, 100%. People are playing loud, and you have to be a part of the game.
And why do you play?
It's just something I enjoy. It's something I've been doing for a long time. It's cool to be able to come here with all my friends and support the band. And we have fun making music together at the same time.
I play because I just love being able to express myself in a way that's not just singing or dancing or whatever. Playing an instrument's a really unique experience, and being able to do that and kind of serving this basketball team and the entire community as a whole, it just makes me feel awesome. So that's why I play.
Dave, after talking to everyone, I'm really starting to see how the band is instrumental to the electric energy here when the Panthers play at home. Back to you.
Thanks, Callie. We're back here again at the Georgia State Sports Arena. Stretch run in the Sun Belt Conference schedule for head coach Ron Hunter and the Georgia State Panthers. And we got App State. It's senior day, and you've been through a number of these throughout your coaching career at IUPUI and now here at Georgia State. It's always a special day, no matter what the record is. And, you know, our record's good, but it's a special day for everybody.
Yeah, it really is. And really this senior day, because this is the first recruiting class that we had with RJ and TJ and Marcus in that group. That was our first true recruiting class when we first got here at Georgia State. So that'll mean a little bit more to me because, again, those guys kind of took a leap of faith to come here with us as we started to build this program. So, of course, now RJ is playing for some team in Boston. I don't know where he's playing with. But, and again, it's so funny because I just talked to him about he wish he had senior day now. I would love for him to come back and have senior day. That would have been a special thing.
Well, you eventually want him to come back, even if it's in between seasons and even if it's little by little knock off the rest of his collegiate education, don't you?
Yeah, oh, there's no question. He's actually going to come back this summer and take a class or two. And so we want him to make sure he's only 15 hours away from graduation. So we want to make sure we get that taken care of. But again, it's a special thing on senior night. And so even as a father, it would have been great for him to be able to, with this particular class, because they all came in together and has done a lot for Georgia State. Marcus and TJ and those guys have done a terrific job of really elevating Georgia State basketball.
You know, as much over the last couple of 3 years we've talked about RJ and Ryan Harrow, you know, a big part of that cornerstone is Marcus and TJ.
Yeah, there's no question. That's what those guys came in together, and you know, I remember their freshman year, and you know, we won every road game and couldn't win at home. You know, and so what they did is they brought credibility to a program at that time when we needed it. And what we did is we sprinkled some transfers around them as we started to build our program, and they did exactly what we thought of. I mean, if you really look at going to NIT, going to NCAA, again, just great basketball. Some of the things that they were able to accomplish were just terrific.
All right now let's talk a little bit about Appalachian State, and this is an interesting team. They're right now fighting to go to New Orleans and be a part of the Sun Belt Conference tournament in the bottom three in the league. But, you know, they're always tough for us, whether it's here. Well, actually, we played them very well last year here. I do call that a revenge game last year after losing up in Boone. Boone has been a tough place for us to play. It's been a better scenario when they've come to Atlanta for us.
Yeah, you know, it's the playing up there is really tough. It really is, and I know they talk about the air quality and those things, but I just think that again, I think those two guards have a lot more to do with it. They've got those senior guards, and I can't wait for their senior night, and so we don't have to face them again. Those guards have been terrific, but again, I'm one of those teams that have been much better at home than on the road. And again, I'm glad we got them here for senior night. It's a game that we need to continue to win, to continue to have the highest seed that we could possibly get. We're still trying to fight for that top four. We're 2 games out of that. Lafayette's kind of struggling a little bit, so we hope that we can kind of really maybe even catch that at the end of the season by winning this game and maybe going to get a sweep into Louisiana.
Well, Frank Eves is one of the guards you're talking about. He's one of the better, if not the, I don't want to say the best, but easily in the top 3 3-point shooters. This is a team that's attempted, as of this taping, 617 3-point field goals. That's a big part of their offense.
Yeah, they really do. They really spread you out, and they like to take threes and shoot them. And when it goes in, they're great, and they have a chance to win. But when they miss them is when they've struggled, and it shows by their record in that regards. But against us, they made them that night, and we got to make sure we defend that 3-point line when they come in here.
All right, and finally, before we get to questions for Coach Hunter, who'd have thunk it, but Louisiana Lafayette and Louisiana Monroe right now behind Arkansas Little Rock, 2-3 in the standings in the Sun Belt Conference.
Yeah, but I think that
and Monroe very quietly.
Yeah, but I think the team that's probably overpassed them is Texas Arlington, because they just lost to them. And Texas Arlington is that sneaky team. I think that they're rising, and you got Lafayette, who's lost the last couple of games. They lost that Texas swing, 0-2, which is a tough swing, and so that really put them behind Texas Arlington. So again, we have a great opportunity because we got 2 teams that are ahead of us that one of them we could possibly catch.
All right, Coach, you ready for some questions?
Always.
All right, time now for questions for head coach Ron Hunter.
Hello, my name is Tyler Stiles. My major is in journalism. My question is to Coach. Coach, when you played, which did you like more, offense or defense? And if it's offense, do you think you would have been a great 3-point shooter?
Well, what I enjoyed most when I was a player is, of course, offense, because I love to shoot at the particular time. And if I was still playing, if the 3-point line was still there today when I played back then, I would still be playing in the NBA right now at the age of 50 plus, let's just say that. So, no, I didn't have an opportunity to play with that line. I tease my son all the time that that's the only way he was able to score more points than me in college.
I'm Deja Bradley Griffin, and I'm a journalism major. So, Coach, what makes a student athlete a pro prospect?
What makes a college student athlete a pro prospect is how hard he works. It's not what you do during a game. It's how hard you work to get to the college level. And then once you get here, how much time do you spend in developing your craft? Just like any other college student, you got to spend time at your craft if you want to be great at it.
I'm Jared Oliver, a journalism student here at Georgia State University. Coach, I wanted to know, I heard you were a better dancer than a basketball player in college. Is that true?
Am I a better dancer than a basketball player? Absolutely not. I faked the dancing part, trust me. I wish I could dance a little bit better. I'm going to work at it, so next year when we have our Midnight Madness, I'm going to bring something special and try all the new dances out.
Coach, good questions this week, and let's finish strong, and we'll see you here next week.
All right, we'll see you next week.
All right, I want to thank head coach Ron Hunter joining us again here from the Sports Arena. We're going to head out to Panthersville here in a moment and catch up with Georgia State's head baseball coach Greg Frady. In the meantime, here's what's coming up on the schedule at Georgia State Athletics. Here's what's coming up this week on the schedule at Georgia State. On Saturday, February the 27th, 11 a.m. men's tennis hosting Winthrop here in Atlanta. Also on Saturday the 27th at 12 noon, women's basketball against the Mountaineers of Appalachian State here at the Georgia State Sports Arena. That'll be followed by the men's basketball game against Appalachian State. That game will tip off at about 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time. On Saturday, February 27th as well, 1 p.m. as well as 4:30 p.m. Baseball will play a doubleheader against Coppin State at the Georgia State Baseball Complex. On Sunday, February the 28th at 1, baseball will again host Coppin State at the Georgia State Baseball Complex. On Saturday, March 1 at 4 p.m., baseball will play on the road at Georgia Tech. We'll be at Russ Chandler Stadium. On Wednesday, March the 2nd, softball against Kennesaw State at the Bob Heck Softball Complex. First pitch at 6 p.m. And on Friday, March the 4th, baseball hosting Minnesota in the first of a 3-game series out at the GSU Baseball Complex at Panthersville. First pitch at 4 p.m. That's what's going on this week in Georgia State Athletics. Again, a busy time at Georgia State. That was on the schedule, and one of the things that will start to populate the schedule, as you can see, we're no longer in studio. We're out here at the ballpark at Panthersville. That's Georgia State baseball. Pleased to be joined right now by Panthers head baseball coach Greg Frady. And Coach, your baseball team getting ready to kick off the brand new season here in 2016. Last year, 30-27. How do you feel going into a new campaign here for Georgia State baseball?
I feel pretty good, actually. You know, we're 30-27 last year, but I thought our season was even better than our record. We had some injuries at the end of the year, played well in our conference, and you know, all those things had to be really gauged. You know, last year was only our second year in the league, and when you're doing that, you're really going to new campuses for the first time, and we've done pretty well in our adjustment to the league. A lot of the players on our team now have Sun Belt experience, and they've been in the game, so I'm very optimistic about this team. We've bolstered our pitching again. Like our core of position players, it should make for an exciting 2016.
Coach, do you feel like it's taken a little while to ramp up? And I kind of use that in quotations from coming out of the Colonial Athletic Association, which, as we know, is a pretty good baseball league, into the Sun Belt. In other words, with the, you know, the nuances, the differences, as you said, visiting the different ballparks, it's taken a season or two to kind of get comfortable in the new surroundings?
Well, Dave, you know, I think no matter what league that you're in, you're ramping up all the time.
Right.
I mean, it's just the nature of college sports. You never stop trying to get better. The Colonial had some really, really good teams in the Colonial, and you saw a lot of that action. And good baseball is good baseball no matter what conference. But what we found in the Sun Belt, which we knew going into it, is that it's a very challenging league every weekend. There's really no bottom to the Sun Belt. And if you don't play well, you're not going to win the games. And if you do play well, you'll put yourself in a position to win games, and still you'll have to execute something to finalize the game. But the Sun Belt is a very respected league in the nation. Just recently, CBS Sports posted their annual college baseball rankings, and the Sun Belt was ranked 5th overall in the power rankings of the conference, behind the big boys, the SEC, ACC, Big 12, and Pac-12. And so it's a challenge for us. We know it. And yeah, we had to ramp up, and we're continually ramping up in the Sun Belt. But I don't think that's really changed a lot since I've been here. I've tried to ramp it up every year that I've been here, and I think our players and our teams and a lot of times our records have reflected that.
Well, again, last year 30-27, 15-13 in the Sun Belt, a win over Georgia Southern in the Sun Belt tournament before bowing out. Some big bats out of the lineup, as well as some strong arms. Matt Rose was a draftee of the Chicago Cubs. Caden Bailey, who'd been here for 4 years. David Levy, who was even solid at second base. And then Nathan Bates and Kenny Anderson, 2 of your weekend starters, all guys that have moved on in positions that guys have had to either move up or that you've recruited to come in and fill.
All great players, every one of them, Dave. Really great players, great Panthers. I mean, traditional players that represented us in a way that helped us not only win games but move us forward now as we continue in the Sun Belt. And when you got players like that, and you say, wow. But then you look back a couple of years before that, and we had Chase Raffield and Nick Wilson, and those are all Americans. And you say, how are you going to replace those guys? And then comes along Matt Rose, and then you say, well, how are you going to replace Matt Rose? And well, next year we'll be talking about how are we going to replace Joey Roach, you know, and Garrett Ford and Cole Uvula, and there's always going to be players. I think when you keep recruiting, and you're recruiting the right guys, and you have the balance between the academics and the good person and the good player, your program can perpetuate itself. Certainly we want to be winning championships, and that's a challenge, no matter if you got great talent or not, because a lot of that somewhat is a bit lucky. You got to stay healthy, and maybe the ball's got to bounce for you, besides being good, because everybody else is good. Yeah, those are great players. No, we can't replace those guys, and we're not trying to replace them, but what we're trying to do is get this version, this edition, to be the best team we've had here. And I really like our guys, and I think we're going well. And the contributions that those guys made has had a residual effect of the newcomers coming in, understanding how well they played and the level they need to perform at.
Well, we all know how important pitching is, and again, you lost 2 starters, Nathan Bates and Kenny Anderson, off the weekend staff last year. Let's talk a little bit about your weekend rotation and really your pitching staff overall. Cole Uvula, Devin Vayner, Bryce Conley, and then what you'll use midweek, and you can even touch on Wayne Wages, who had a great season a year ago.
Well, you know, when you look at when a professional scout, an organization comes to the park to consider what is a professional pitcher, they do what's called the beginning a profile, and the profile is 6'4", 6'5", loose arm, good mechanics, very athletic, with a lot of velocity. Well, all 3 of those guys fit that criteria to a T. So they not only look the part, but I think they are the part. What they need is opportunity to go out and prove themselves. We really like how they've developed over the course of the fall, and they deserve a lot of credit as they go. Devin Vayner and Bryce Conley are unproven at the Division I level. Cole Uvula had a lot of experience here last year, and we think they're going to be good. Marc-Andre Habeck will pitch in as the midweek starter for us. He has a lot of experience pitching in the rotation, some last year and in the middle of the week. But lost from last year, which never really gets discussed, is Jerry Stuckey and Connor Stanley and Kevin Berge. Those were our middle relievers and our closer, and we absolutely won the back half of almost all the games we're leading in. And those guys not only stabilized it but closed it out. Such a great thing. Well, enter the picture now. You've got Wayne Wages taking Kevin Berge's spot as a closer, and Wayne was just named to the nation's watch list as a stopper of the year. And Garrett Ford now will pitch in middle relief along with Alex Hegner, both seniors, very veteran-like, and they know what to do. Brian White will swing from being a midweek starter and a weekend starter to a reliever. And the emergence of Clayton Payne has been amazing. I mean, he is really doing a heck of a job, and I can totally see him having a monster year. So I like where we're going. I like our staff. Got a couple young guys in Liam Henry and Chris Miejas who are doing a good job. So we're around 11 deep pitching-wise. We've had a couple injuries at the back end right now, but if those 11 pitch good, that's plenty. And I'd rather have a lot of quality and fewer arms than have a lot of quantity and less quality.
Yep, you can never have enough depth at many of those positions. Coach, you ready to take some questions from the Panther baseball fans?
Absolutely.
All right, right now our cameras have normally crisscrossed the campus of Georgia State. How about they've crisscrossed the fields here at Panthersville? And we've got questions now for Georgia State head baseball coach Greg Frady.
Hi, I'm Alex Deloney, and I'm a film student. Coach, you've won a lot of baseball games with both great pitching and great hitting. To you, in baseball, what's more important, pitching or hitting?
Well, certainly both are important, as you would expect, and I think they have equal value. But every championship club is built around their pitching and then centered around defense. And when you pitch and play defense every day, you give yourself a chance to win, no matter if you hit or you don't. Now, when you have a great offensive team, it takes some of the pressure off of your pitching and allow those guys to relax and be comfortable, and I think they pitch better. So the balance of having great offensive attack with great pitchers and great defense certainly makes for a fun season. Everybody can relax, everybody can enjoy themselves, and it leads to championships.
Hi, I'm Summer Lewis, a journalism major, and I have a question for you, Coach. How do you keep a young college baseball team focused during a long season?
Well, that is indeed a challenge. 18 to 22-year-old young men are challenged to focus on long periods of time. But I've always believed that you create focus for the immediate moment, concentration to sustain itself over the period of the game, intensity as a fuel and a passion for the game, and all those three things lead to competitiveness. There's no substitute for competitive spirit. And no one's competitive without focus. So you got to stay focused. It's not something you can just talk about as a coach. It's something you got to put into process, being on the field. Talk about it after the game. Talk about the priority and the focus and how important it is prior to the game. But when you do focus, and then you sustain concentration, and you do that with intensity, you're very competitive, and it leads to that competitiveness, which leads to winning. And ultimately, that's what our job is to do.
Hi, my name is Afi Okoye, and I'm a double major in journalism and political science. What's your favorite baseball team, and who do you think is going to win the World Series this year?
Well, there's no doubt my favorite professional team is the Atlanta Braves, and of course that's centered around Hank Aaron and what he did as a professional, and he was my childhood hero. And to even think for a moment that on the horizon could be a potential for the old Fulton County Stadium footprint where Georgia State could potentially build a new stadium is just, it's mind-boggling, wonderful, giddy, happy. And so for sure the Braves, I can name pretty much every Brave starter for the last years. I'm just an absolute fan. It's going to be a very big challenge for the Braves to win at the World Series level and be a World Series champion this year. I feel like right now they're in the rebuilding process, and I certainly have my own problems and things to worry about outside of Panthersville. I don't spend much time. But I really love how the Kansas City Royals play. I mean, if you're a fan of the game of baseball, they hit and run, they bunt, they hit for power, they hit home runs, they have great pitchers. I love how the Mets have this young pitching staff. It's so great to watch that level with young guys. And then also, too, I can't help but be a fan of the Chicago Cubs. You know, I'm a softie, and the Cubs haven't won much through the years. So to see the Cubs come up right now and win some games, I guess privately I'm pulling for the Cubs. I'd like to see that. Enjoy the Royals. I've got one of my former players, Andrew Butera. Drew Butera is our backup catcher. I pulled for them all last year, but certainly the Atlanta Braves.
Coach, good questions this week, good answers, and looking forward to getting this season underway. You've got Western Michigan, you got old CAA foe VCU, and you got Purdue in here to start out the season. So best of luck, and we will check in with you as the season moves along.
Thanks. Exciting time to be a Panther right now. Got great weather first weekend. Come out and see us play.
All right. I want to thank Georgia State's head baseball coach Greg Frady joining us. And that'll wrap it up for this week's show. For the entire crew, I'm Dave Cohen. We'll see you next week right here in the Georgia State Sports Update.